I'm Derek Joyce, and I'm here with Paul Onwarda, and this is I'm Not the Expert But. This is a podcast where we'll discuss everything from the most complex ideas that we know nothing about to the simplest ideas that we probably know nothing about either. So put the kettle on, get comfy, and join us.
Okay, so when we left you last week, we were going through the Fukushima nuclear disaster as a result of the earthquake and tsunami in 2011. I'm just going to dive straight back in there.
Yep, go for it. Incidentally, if you haven't a clue what we're talking about, go back and listen to episode 1.
Yep.
Episode 1.
Earthquakes part 1.
We'll be waiting right here for you to rejoin us.
By 5:30 a.m, the pressure in reactor 1 was at a critical level and an explosion seemed imminent. Officials had been arguing all night over an incredibly risky procedure which could cause a massive explosion, but if they don't try it, the reactor is guaranteed to explode.
And all generators are still down at this stage?
All generators are still down at this stage. The reactor is essentially a runaway train.
Okay.
Like there's no human input now at this stage. So what they decide to do is to try and vent steam from reactor 1 directly into the atmosphere. Right?
Nice.
Which,
fucking lovely. Yeah.
Radioactive material, yeah. So not only is this radioactive, albeit at relatively low levels, there's also a risk that hydrogen has been created in the reactor vessel due to the high pressure.
That what has been created?
Hydrogen. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, due to the water vapour under high pressure.
That'd be a scientific moment in history.
Well, no, that's how they create hydrogen.
They don't create hydrogen.
Oh, okay.
Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe.
Yeah.
In the known universe.
Yeah.
And every atom of hydrogen that was present at the beginning of the universe is all there's ever going to be, apparently.
Yeah, I know, but they're, like when I say creating hydrogen, they're basically breaking water down into hydrogen and oxygen,
constituent
H2O.
elements, so they're not creating the atom.
Not creating new hydrogen.
They're just exposing a new hydrogen by breaking down water.
Yeah. The steam has turned into hydrogen.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Okay. Right. I was like, what's he on about? Now I get what you were saying. Yeah. No. So they're worried that hydrogen, like that, the water in the reactor has broken down into oxygen and hydrogen. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's hydrogen in the reactor.
Okay.
Due to the high pressure. And it's feared that this could ignite when hitting the O2.
Okay.
So when they open it to the atmosphere outside,
that
you could have a massive H-bomb basically, essentially. So they do that anyway, they vent it off, it is successful and there's no explosion. So that's like the immediate danger.
Okay.
Is averted. 20 minutes later, emergency power is restored to reactor 1, allowing water to be pumped into reactor 1 to cool the fuel rods, although workers don't realise that the rods have completely melted. So they're actually
and no one
gone now.
Suspects that might have happened. They're all physics engineers.
All I was able to find was that they have no way of knowing what's going on inside, for sure.
Okay. If I'd worked there, I would have assumed.
I know, but all their monitoring, all their sensors, all their cameras, everything's down. Everything's gone. So they don't know exactly what's going on, how hot it is inside that reactor, whether it has melted, whether it hasn't. All they can do is pump the water in it and hope for the best. Like there really is nothing else they can do anyway. So whether they've melted or not, it's kind of pump the water in and hope they haven't melted.
Yeah.
And if they haven't melted, this will stop them melting.
Okay.
If they've already melted, we're fucked anyway.
Right.
That kind of way. Right, so temperatures reaching over 1200 Celsius. The zirconium in the rods splits the hydrogen from the water vapour into steam inside the core. So you now have hydrogen.
So they've exposed the base elements.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you now essentially have an airtight concrete dome full of hydrogen.
Okay.
Which is,
Which sounds great.
So by 10:58 the next morning, reactor 2 reaches critical pressure level and is vented to the atmosphere in the same way again, yeah?
Yeah.
No explosion. So that's reactor 1 and reactor 2 now have both vented radioactive material into the atmosphere. By 3:30 p.m. that afternoon, residents within a 10-kilometre radius are evacuated.
Okay.
So they're now starting to kind of realise this is serious. This is really fucking serious.
Okay.
Right? So By 3:36, hydrogen buildup inside reactor 1 reaches critical levels, causing a massive explosion. So it does explode.
Right, okay, so reactor 1 is gone. There's 5
reactor
others.
1 is gone.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
there's 5 others. Only 3
others.
were on though.
Yeah, but I'm not saying there's 5 others. Don't worry about it. I'm saying there's 5 more to go.
Yeah, but only 1, 2 and 3 are active. The other 3 were shut down, so they're not an issue at all. The explosion cracks open the containment vessel, but leaving the reactor core intact. 4 people are injured and the concrete containment vessel utterly collapses. So you now have an exposed nuclear reactor core. Yeah.
A la Chernobyl.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Great.
So seawater is pumped directly into reactor 1 in an attempt to cool the reactor. Right, so now you're getting seawater pumped in.
Right, okay.
So it's not just that closed system. That closed system is now open. It's gone.
Yeah.
So they're pumping seawater in to try and cool down the reactor. By 7:25 that night, seawater injection is ordered to be halted amid fears over contamination. So they're worried that, they could potentially contaminate the whole ocean.
Right, okay.
Yeah, because the water's been pumped in, but it's coming, it's washing back out. There's no closed system now. It's a wash with water, Plant boss Masao Yoshida ignores the order and orders his workers to keep pumping seawater in, fearing a meltdown more than the release of contaminated water. So he feels that,
one is worse than the other, so I'm going with the least worst option.
I'm going with the least worst option,
right.
Even though the government have told them to stop, Okay, so then on Sunday, March 13th at 3:25 a.m, power to reactor 3 fails.
Right, okay.
Okay, and that causes an immediate drop in the water levels due to the water being vaporised into steam, as we've already gone through, and the water levels drop below the fuel rods. So it's the same as has happened in the first 2 reactors. You now have the fuel rods exposed to the air with no cooling water, and they're out of control then, obviously. By 5:10 a.m, Fukushima Reactor 1 is declared an International Nuclear Radiological Event Scale 4.
Okay.
Right, now I'm going to get onto the scales now in a second. Level 4, the accident is localised, so has localised consequences. So that's what a scale 4 is at the moment.
Right, okay, yeah.
Right. 9 a.m, fuel rods in reactor 3 begin to melt, causing a build-up of hydrogen. Again, workers believe reactor 3 has had a partial meltdown and order venting to release pressure. The reactor containment vessel is pumped full of water and boric acid. Now, you'll remember from the previous episode where I mentioned that borium is used as a control rod to offset the nuclear reaction. So boric acid absorbs neutrons and helps prevent the fuel reacting while inside the reactor. So they're pumping that stuff in to try and stop kind of nuclear reaction.
Right. To try and stabilise something that they have no control over.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, I understand.
It's kind of panic stations now at this stage, Monday, March 14th, 11 a.m, hydrogen inside reactor 3 explodes, collapsing the building containing reactor 3, injuring 6 workers. TEPCO, which is the Tokyo Electrical Production Company, announces no radioactive leak. Right?
Yeah.
But, I have a big but here with exclamation marks. The explosion damages the water supply to reactor 2.
Okay.
So now they've had, the dominoes fall and so the explosion in reactor 3 has damaged the water that was keeping reactor 2 under wraps. By 1:15, the cooling system in reactor 2 has failed. Water levels drop, exposing the fuel rods yet again. As we know, this is...
Are these the melted down fuel rods?
They had started to melt down. They had pumped water in to try and stop them melting, and now they're exposed again because the water's not pumping in because of the explosion in reactor 3. So it's a clusterfuck.
It's radioactive dominoes.
Yeah, exactly, By 3 o'clock, a large glob of melted fuel rod drops to the bottom of reactor 1 and pools there. Now, have you ever seen the elephant's foot from Chernobyl?
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, that's exactly what comes to mind there. That the elephant foot is essentially pooled melted rods.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you don't know what the elephant foot is, go on Google and just...
I'll throw it up on Facebook.
No, don't even do that.
Actually,
there's an image very easily accessible, and when you start to look at the images, and I know I'm off the elephant's foot, but in particular the image that's taken of the exposed reactor from the helicopter, and information along with that is fucking astonishing.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, if you don't know what the elephant's foot is, go on Google, look it up.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it does literally look like an elephant's foot as well.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
It's so well named.
It's horrific. I'm not saying it's good.
No.
It's horrific, but it's remarkable.
And that's still there.
Yeah.
That is still there.
It's going to be there forever, man.
I know, yeah. And the massive concrete dome they built over it, that's due for replacement now again soon, isn't it? And
the first one or the second one?
The one they built over that, yeah. So the
one they built over what?
Over the elephant's foot, the melted core.
Oh, yeah. But they've built another huge one over the one they built over the open reactor.
Yeah.
And they're dismantling everything under that second dome they built.
Yeah. And that second dome, I think, is due for replacement, isn't it?
Not for
or
a
maybe
while.
that is them replacing. Maybe that's what I'm talking about.
It is a replacement. And they're taking everything down under that dome.
Yeah.
And then they're going to I think they're going to build a smaller sarcophagus that fits it. But that dome that they built, the second one, they had laser precision measurements so they could literally slide the thing over the ruined building and the ruined first sarcophagus.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic looking.
Deadly.
It's tragedy that they need to.
I know, yeah. Oh. And that'll need to be replaced
eventually
every few hundred years for the rest of human history. Like, you know what I mean? That's that's how bad the elephant's foot is. Like,
yeah.
You know?
But anyway, Google the elephant's foot.
Yeah.
Sorry for dragging you off.
Anyway, so we've gone off on a bit of a tangent there. So basically, you've got Elephant's Foot 2 happening at Fukushima by 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the, Monday, March 14th. We're up to now.
Okay.
Yeah, so by 6 o'clock, reactor 2 goes into meltdown and hydrogen builds up. Are you seeing a pattern here, Del?
Yep.
You'll be a nuclear expert by the end of this. And then by 11 o'clock the next morning, Tuesday, March 15th, a second explosion rocks reactor 3. Right, so again damages the cooling system of reactor 2. By 8 o'clock, reactor 2 is in full meltdown.
Okay.
So it's completely gone now. With most of the fuel drops to the bottom of the reactor vessel, a further explosion damages reactor 2's containment vessel, and radiation levels jump substantially but quickly fall. Ultimately, workers will continue to fight to prevent a major radiation catastrophe, but there's still a cordon around Fukushima today.
I remember reading an article where radioactive contamination, we'll call it, was detected on the western coast of the United States.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it went everywhere.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was when they pumped the seawater in that time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. That's what caused it. Like the venting and stuff, like it was very low levels. And as I said, they called it a stage 4 localised kind of, that was from the venting.
Yeah.
But once they start pumping seawater in, that sea was getting back into the ocean.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I remember that being said as well. I mean, I didn't hear on the news that the government said don't, and your man says, yeah, I fucking will.
Yeah.
But I do remember them saying there's seawater surging back into the ocean from the ruined power plant.
Yeah,
Fukushima.
And, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but in my opinion, I think the guy, the plant boss who kept pumping the water probably did the right thing.
I wouldn't like to have to make that decision.
No, I wouldn't.
That's which is the worst possible option.
Yeah.
Well, let's choose the other one. That's a terrible position to be in.
Yeah, well, I know, but you look at the damage even now, like that's been done by Chernobyl. Look at them poor kids who are born with like all sorts of defects.
Yeah.
All the cancers. People are still dying. He prevented something like that happening in Japan. Now, I know, okay, he polluted the oceans and there is radiation spreading, but it doesn't seem to be on the catastrophic level that a full unabated meltdown would have caused.
You'll never know, unless you're in that circle, you'll never know exactly what the extent of all that damage was.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how to end that sentence. All I can end it with is but.
Yeah. But you got to say the workers were heroes. I mean, they stayed there. I'm sure they were exposed to all sorts of radiation.
And they're probably sick and dying or dead now.
Yeah. But they stayed at their
many
posts.
people in the area that was evacuated before they put out the evacuation alarm.
Yeah.
So who knows?
That's it. See, and it is kind of a case of who knows, because I mean, as kind of secretive and everything else as the old Soviet Union was, I mean, we know pretty much everything about Chernobyl and what happened and how many REMs and, You know, all that stuff. Whereas Fukushima, it's a bit more up in the air as to how bad it was, you know.
Well, yeah, it's like that everywhere. There's not just Fukushima. There's 3 Mile Island.
Yeah.
There's if you want to spend an afternoon pissing yourself off, go on Google again and Google nuclear disasters of the world.
Yeah, and don't look at 3 Mile Island because we are definitely going to do an episode on that.
Well, totally do, because then you can get in touch with us and let us know what to do. So I won't have to research it and you won't have to research it.
True, yeah.
Okay. While all that shit was going on in Fukushima, the waves that hit Sendai and the Miyagi prefectures and all the eastern seaboard of Japan, of Honshu, that's what everybody can picture in their head when they think about
the tsunami.
And what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
And as we said in the first part of this, nobody witnessed the earthquake. Everybody witnessed what came after the earthquake.
Yeah.
There was, what did we say, 18 and a half miles below the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
So nobody witnessed it. Everybody just witnessed what came later.
Yeah.
And it destroyed everything. The 10-meter tsunami wall that was built along the coastline was inundated and absolutely swamped.
Yeah.
And I don't know how true this is, so I'm possibly spreading rumours.
Okay.
But I read, actually, do you remember in the first part I said that it was uplift? It moved, it lurched 160-something feet, I think it was, to the north. And it moved up. Or some shit. And it went up by 30 feet.
Yeah, which kind of threw the water into a wave.
The 10-meter tsunami wall was now
obsolete.
Null and void.
Null and void.
Because of the wave that was coming, is what I read. I don't know how true it is scientifically, but everybody loves good rumour, good bit gossip.
Yeah, no,
so
makes
possibly.
Sense, yeah.
And I won't even say it makes sense, so that's what I believe, but I can see how it works and I'm willing to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
And just open my eyes a bit. Many on that coastline believed that they were safe from the tsunami because of that 10-meter tsunami wall.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
When the wave came in and washed over it, everybody was there to witness it.
Like they were all standing there watching it,
Precious few people had turned and said, I'm getting to higher ground. Fuck this shit. And they just stayed and watched everything unfold.
Yeah. Basically rubbernecked.
And everybody, like, there is that video on where people are going to higher ground. It's a hillside.
I do remember seeing that.
And there's one lady scrambling up the hill and she's ankle deep in water. She's literally seconds away from that tsunami wave.
Yeah, like she's basically...
She gets up the hill. Somebody sticks their hand out, drags her up the hill. This thing washes buildings and trucks past her. There's a video coming down.
I remember seeing that.
It's like an off-ramp or something like that.
Yeah.
Feeding into the city that's just being, right now, inundated. And a car does a 3-point turn and goes the other way and its back wheels are in water.
And he's just literally bodies. But he's surfing the tsunami.
And he gets out of it. But it was that close for so many people. But there's so many people who got caught up in it.
Yeah. What was the overall death toll, Del, do you know?
Worldwide?
Yeah.
I don't know worldwide. But
there was thousands.
I don't know. The Japanese government, I think, released, and the number 28 or 29,000 is in my head. But I'll corroborate it or I'll refute it later. But it was revised downward. So the initial final death toll was less than 20,000.
Okay.
Because as people turned up and said, no, I'm not dead, here I am. You know, because everybody that
they found
did
people
get
under
away,
rubble and stuff.
They were all dispersed to the wind. And as they slowly came back, they registered, no, I'm not on that list, I'm on this list. And I'm a survivor. And then, so they revised it downwards. And it's below 20,000.
And that's in Japan just?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know worldwide. Don't know worldwide. But I do have wave heights and the times they hit elsewhere around the world, because as we were saying in the first episode,
it did not happen in one go, yeah? Well,
it's not that it didn't happen in one go. When the uplift happened and it went up 10 metres and displaced all that water, the water went out in all directions.
Yeah, it was like dropping a pebble into a pond. And
exactly.
You get that big 360
it only doesn't go out in all directions when it hits something, like the edge of the pond you're standing at.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So it did land and affect other countries, and I do have stats, but I don't think I have fatality stats.
Okay.
Which I would have avoided anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have wanted to say...
come here, listen, I don't want to make this a bloody,
Exactly.
a morbid podcast. I was just interested.
But when the waves hit and the tsunami walls fell, there's reports of a wave that penetrated 6 miles inland.
Inland, yeah.
Like, fucking, that's mental.
Yeah. I always remember as well, and I don't know whether it was the Indonesian one or this one, I'm not sure. But I'll always remember seeing it live, well, not live, but kind of seeing footage of it or whatever, and it was just that... like, you think in your head, you think of a tsunami in your head, or a tidal wave, as we would have called them when we were kids, and this giant wall of water, and it smashes into the land. It wasn't really like that, though. It was just like the sea just came into the land. Like,
it just decided to expand its territory.
Yeah.
And then it just fucked up.
It was a gradual kind of
Gradual is in inverted commas.
No, I mean, it was fast. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was fast, but it wasn't like that big smash of white water. It was just water flowing.
But again, as we were saying,
it was insane.
As we were saying in the first episode, the wave height is relative to the gradient coming onto land from the ocean. Yeah. Like, as it's shallower water, it gets higher and higher and higher, and the back of the wave starts to catch up with the front because the front is starting to slow down. Yeah. Blah blah blah, all that kind of thing. But Sendai, Fukushima, Ibaraki, and Chiba. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
Chiba,
were inundated by a wave between 33 and 45 feet high. Mental. Fucking mental. Many other prefectures, which we said are kind of like
local council areas. Or states. Kind of statelets.
Or counties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Along the Pacific coast, south of Miyagi, suffered catastrophic damage.
Okay.
And wasn't there damage on the west coast of Honshu as well? Because when the wave...
I'll take your word for it.
I'm not even saying that I saw stats and facts and whatever, but when the wave moves out across the water and it hit the eastern coast, as it goes around the north end of Honshu, it'd still affect that west coast.
Yeah.
It'd still wash in. I don't have stats for that, but I'm just thinking in terms, and I'm not a scientist, but in terms of physics and how I know stuff works, and how I've seen stuff work, and I've never seen a tidal wave, but it just seems to me that it would have affected the western coast as well.
Yeah. No, it would.
It would. When the waves receded, they took with them a massive quantity of debris as well as thousands of victims.
This is it.
Caught in the retreating waters.
You see, there you go. Like, you immediately think of the, that initial wave coming in, fucking devastation. What comes in must go out as well when we're talking about that. And it's equally as devastating when it's coming back and pulling shit. Like, it's pushing shit when it comes in, it's pulling shit when it goes out.
Yeah, and it all goes out,
Yeah.
Large swathes of low-lying land were left under seawater.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
There
didn't even recede all the way back
massive,
out. Massive,
and this sounds like a really, excuse me, this sounds like a really stupid statement, but there was massive flooding afterwards. Like, after the water had receded.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have all pick everything up as you go, lads. And clean up after yourself.
Like, if you go in onto a beach after tide has just gone out and you have those little rock pools and stuff, it's that on a massive scale, yeah.
Low-lying areas were just left inundated.
Yeah.
The earthquake triggered tsunami warnings throughout the Pacific Basin.
Yeah.
Across Pacific Ocean. Sensors would have started picking up the tremors, the primary and secondary waves.
Yeah.
Alarms would have gone off and people would have had time to prepare for it.
And that was kind of like what I said with Fukushima. And lucky enough, I mean, given what happened, as soon as the earthquake started, like even long before that tidal wave came, the sensors in Fukushima picked it up and shut those reactors down. Well, pulled the fuel rods out. I mean, had they not had those sensors, you'd have been looking at a massive catastrophe from a nuclear perspective.
Yeah.
They would have been live reactors.
And even more massive than it already was. And we'll never know big, exactly how massive it was.
Extinction level, we're talking. Well,
the wave, no, we're not. The wave raced across the Pacific at 500 miles an hour and generated waves 12 feet high in the Hawaiian island chain. And if you're going 12 feet, that's not that fucking mad.
Surf's up, dude.
Go online and look at the distance between the east coast of Honshu and the Hawaiian Islands.
Oh, I know, yeah, Jesus Christ.
It's
a few thousand miles, isn't it?
It's massive.
Yeah.
It's a massive. And if a 12-foot wave can reach the Hawaiian Islands and surf's up, dude.
What the hell size was that at the epicenter?
It was huge and it's come a long distance. And 500 miles an hour is the speed of a jetliner.
Yeah.
So it's nuts.
500 miles an hour for that length of time as well. Like that wave lasted a long time, to travel that far. I mean, how long would it take to fly from Japan to Hawaii?
I don't know. Never flown.
Yeah.
And I'm not
even sure. But that was the length of time that wave was travelling.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Several hours after the tremor, a 9-foot wave struck the coast of Oregon and California.
Hey.
Again, not a very big wave by any standards.
No, but it was still...
But fucking hell.
It was a wave that was generated by that
across
quake.
the Pacific. Yeah. Finally, 18 hours after the earthquake, a wave of about 1 foot hit Antarctica and broke a portion of the Sulzberger ice shelf off.
Jesus Christ. That's insane.
Fucking nuts.
It is. Yeah. That's like... It's surprised nothing washed up in Galway or something, Other side
completely
of the planet.
Different ocean.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
It's essentially like somebody throwing a rock off the pier in Coney Island and the wave lapping up in Galway, though. That's kind of what we're talking about. That's
on a much more massive scale, obviously. Yeah.
It's nuts.
On a much more tragic scale.
Yeah.
Initially, and this is what I was saying earlier on, and I had the image of 28 or 29,000. Initially, it was thought 28,500 people died on the Japanese mainland, but as people were found and accounted for, that number was revised downward.
Yeah.
By the end of 2011, the death toll was revised down to 19,300. So it wasn't too far wrong with me.
And that was just in numbers. Japan, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know what it was worldwide. There might have been somebody sitting on a pier somewhere and got washed in and couldn't swim. And
which one was the movie made about? Do you remember there was a movie made? No. I think it was the Indonesian one. Thailand,
there was a movie called... I can't remember the name of it now. Google it.
Yeah, no, my phone's off. I'm not going to go Google shit now.
Okay, I'm going to Google it.
Right,
it was called... and I watched it and it's really good. Yeah. It's a great movie and it's not Hollywood.
It is though, isn't it?
No, it was very factually correct.
Gwyneth Paltrow or someone's in it.
No, it's not Gwyneth Paltrow.
Who was it?
It was your woman that was in The Ring.
Oh, that's who it is, yes.
Yeah, and I can't remember her name either.
Not Rebecca De Mornay.
It's not Rebecca De Mornay.
It's a name similar to that.
The Impossible, 2012. The Impossible.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and it's excellent. It only got a 5.5 on IMDb, but I actually thought it was very good.
I thought it was shite, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It was a love story, essentially.
It wasn't really.
Yeah, it kind of was.
It wasn't really. It was a woman and her husband and their 2 kids.
Yeah, but was it not real soppy?
No.
Dramatic?
Go and watch it again, man. Was it not dramatic? It's fucking Tsunami.
No,
of course it was
dramatic.
No, it wasn't melodramatic. It's Naomi Watts.
Naomi Watts, that's the fucking
and Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor?
Yeah.
Jesus, I really don't remember that movie.
Well, go and watch it again before you judge.
Yeah, no, I will, yeah.
The 2011 tsunami cost an estimated 220 billion. Isn't that fucking mental?
Not really, actually, no. 220 billion.
Billion.
That sounds conservative, really, when you think about it.
I don't know what kind of fucking change you carry around, but 220 million is a big number for me.
820 billion.
220 billion.
No, I don't know. The fucking space program didn't fucking cost more than that.
How long has that been running? This is a one-time event.
Oh, I don't know. It just fuck's sake. I mean, fucking Donald Trump wanted a fucking $1 trillion fucking bill published, didn't he?
Any conversation where the word Trump comes into that conversation is fucking dumb.
I know, but like the fucking United States economy's worth trillions. Like, you wouldn't think 200 billion's that much on a global scale.
I didn't say 200 million.
Billion.
billion,
Yeah,
220 billion.
Yeah, like...
I think that's huge.
It is huge to you or me, but I'm just saying, on a global scale, I would have expected it to be more.
And maybe it was, but 1 foot waves hitting Antarctica and 12-foot waves hitting Hawaii and a 9-foot wave hitting California and Oregon
caused a huge financial
really cost
impact. Yeah, true enough. Like, I suppose when you look at it that way, it's only a handful of countries that were fucking devastated by it. Yeah.
Well, one main country.
Yeah. See, and again, I need to get off this. I'm confusing this one with the Indonesia one as well. That was worse, wasn't it?
It's not that you need to get off it. It's you need to fucking compartmentalize.
Yeah, I need to fucking differentiate. Yeah, because that one was not far worse from a seismological perspective, but it hit more populated countries.
It hit fucking lots of countries around the world, and I will get onto that afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, I didn't agree with you.
Oh, yeah, we're nowhere near done with this thing.
Okay, all right, cool.
You were saying earlier that you can't differentiate between the Japanese tsunami, the Honshu, and the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like, the whole fucking analogy of fucking buses, you wait ages for one and two come along at once. Like, I mean...
I do not get that analogy at all. Well, what the hell are you talking about?
What I'm saying is I was an adult when the first tsunami happened, and then I was still an adult when the second one happened. Like, they don't happen very often.
That's what happens when you grow up, man.
I know, but I'm saying, no, but...
Unless you pay for it.
What I'm saying is it's not like they happen every fucking year, And then we got...
Thankfully.
Yeah, and then we got two, like, relatively...
One in 2004, which was the Indian Ocean, and then 2011 was the Sendai Honshu.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's 2 in 6 years, and I didn't have any that I'm aware of from when I was born in 1978 until 2004, did you say it was?
2004,
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't mean that they didn't happen.
No.
They just weren't documented.
Okay.
I remember growing up and learning about tidal waves, and then learning that tidal waves were called tsunamis, and going, fucking, what a wood.
Yeah.
And then not, like, we didn't have the internet when I was a kid, not like we do now, and reading up about them, and they were all illustrations and artist impressions.
That's what I'm saying.
And I remember thinking, one day somebody is going to catch one of those on camera.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking forward to it.
No.
I wasn't going, can't wait for that.
Yeah. But no, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, when we learned about this stuff in school, and it was all very much, artist impressions.
Well, the fact that we learned about them in school alludes to the fact that they did happen in history. They did happen before, and while we were kids, I'm sure they were happening.
I know, but I don't think we've ever had, certainly in our lifetime, 2 catastrophic ones so close together. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's just... Seems really strange that it was all just kind of pictures and drawings up to 2004, and all of a sudden this like massive global news story, obviously what it was.
I get what you're saying.
And then a few years later we had another one.
I get what you're saying about the closeness between the two of them happening date-wise, but I can't lose sight of the fact in my head that they happened all throughout history. And we just didn't see them as readily available. Yeah, so do you think it's more a case of global news coverage than... No, but like we've had live kind of 24-hour news since the late 80s? Yeah. So surely it would have been... And,
there was one around
if you go back and look at the ratio 4:3 video footage that you'll see how good that is. And think about what it was filmed on. And how heavy that camera was. I understand that, but I'm saying if these things happened in the 90s and 80s, they would have been. I didn't say 90s and 80s. I said, but they did happen. So there's something for you to do. Go and look that up. Oh yeah. Like I'm not saying they happened in prehistory or something and then happened. No, but I mean that 2 such massively catastrophic ones that were, as you said, documented. But that's not down to the fact that they were documented. That's down to the tectonic activity that created them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not like that it's building to a climax and the whole world is going to go fucking ballistic. No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying it was specific points. So, I don't know if you're alluding to the fact that it didn't happen as regularly. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, yeah. Like, I mean, I don't remember hearing of any kind of, any catastrophic tsunamis until 2004.
We've got...
So from when I was born in 78 to 2004, I'd never heard of... Like, I'd heard of tsunamis and I'd learned about them in school, but never actually heard of one actually happening. And then two happened.
How many CCTVs and cameras were on the streets that you played on when you were a kid?
I know, yeah, but come on, be on the news, Del.
How?
I'm watching news since I was a kid, like.
I'm sure it happened, and it's been how many people died? There was only a few thousand. It's not fucking worth it.
Maybe.
It's, it's sensationalism.
Yeah.
I'm sure it happened. I've no doubt it happened.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure there were smaller ones, yeah, but I'm saying two, globally impacting ones so close together.
Okay, well,
if you understand me, yeah. Anyway, we digress, Del, we digress.
Okay. On St. Stephen's Day in 2004 at 7:59 a.m, a 9.1 magnitude earthquake ripped through an undersea fault in the Indian Ocean.
This is the one now I'm thinking of, yes. Actually rings a bell now, yeah. That's probably why it was such big news too. It was, it was over Christmas.
The Sumatran Andaman earthquake occurred where the India and Burma tectonic plate meet. USGS scientists found that the seafloor uplifted by several meters. So again, we've got more uplift.
Yeah.
Like it seems to be. And later on, and we'll get on to Crete, all their tectonic activity, and it's mixed up with the myth of the Minotaur, and it's fucking deadly. It's really good. And it's really disturbing.
Don't spoil it, come on.
But it's great. But that's uplift of one plate from another.
Yeah, so that's where...
Because another is subducting beneath it.
That's exactly the word I was looking for, subducting.
So, we'll get on to it later. It's class. It's hilarious. It's not hilarious. It's...
The hell?
You'll know what I'm talking about when I get on to it.
Right.
Because I'm talking about the myth of the Minotaur. And
that
explains away... How that explains away the tectonic activity. And how the Minotaur came about is hilarious and disturbing. And it's the Greek gods again. It's
again. Here.
They're again, in everything, man. They're in everything.
Everywhere,
they've got a finger in every pie. They're fucked up. Anyway, we will get there. Okay. The water displaced triggered a tsunami that caused catastrophic levels of destruction around the Indian Ocean basin and as far away as the east coast of Africa. 230,000 people are thought to have died globally. That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
And
that's what I was getting at earlier.
That image you've got in your head of the water rushing in over the beach, that was Banda Aceh and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
In those islands, there was like 100,000 people died in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, that's...
that
is the one I was thinking of. And I don't know how, in my own head over the years as it went by, from watching both of them on the news or whatever, I thought Fukushima happened during that one. That's, I had melded both of them into one, I suppose.
Okay.
In my mind. But this is the one, that we were all glued to our TV screens watching this, I think.
Everybody was.
Yeah.
And everybody was in shock.
Yeah.
The wave arrived in Sumatra 30 minutes after the earthquake, Thailand an hour and a half later, and Sri Lanka 2 to 3 hours after.
Yeah, and with the connected world, that we have today and internet and everything else, people in those countries kind of knew it was coming, didn't they? You could nearly put a time on it, Oh, it's hit there, it's going to hit us now in 2 hours.
Well, as far as I know, there were no sensors in the Indian Ocean at that point.
Yeah, I know, but like once it started to make landfall in certain places.
Who's going to get the word out?
I don't know. I just seem to remember that, like, even on the news, they were watching it, like, and they were saying, it's hit there and it's expected to hit.
No, I don't remember them saying it's expected to hit something, except if it was as far away as the eastern coast of Africa.
Maybe.
By then, it was like, and they're expecting a wave surge, but I don't ever remember them saying they're expecting a massive wave to hit
Yeah, maybe not the massive wave. Yeah, but they were kind of saying, this is going to be affected next and that's going to be affected afterwards.
To a certain extent.
Not to the extent of that.
Yeah, you will see a raise in water levels kind of thing. But to the extent that it obliterated those islands that you're thinking about in your head, they would have had little to no warning. Right. The warning they would have had, I suspect, is what we were talking about in the first episode, the trough that has that effect of sucking all the water out from the coast, and people going, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Why is the seabed exposed for 2 miles off the coast?
And it goes back to what you were saying about it not being documented throughout history, and it wasn't as well documented as it was, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Yeah, so people would have witnessed water getting sucked out and going, what the fuck?
And knowing what that was.
And then seeing the wave coming or being caught by the wave. The thing about this and the difference between this and the Japanese one in 2011 was the loss of life in this one far outweighed the damage to infrastructure.
Right.
So I said, what was it, 220 billion?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It cost Japan in damage and all that kind of thing. All those islands wouldn't have had a fraction of that amount of money, GDP.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
All that kind of thing. So
relative, it was.
It's people living in huts.
Yeah.
And if there are hotels built there, it's because they were built there specifically for holiday goers.
I'm getting a mad deja vu here. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It's weird. Well, yeah.
It's a chemical thing.
That's a glitch in the matrix. It's a new update. Yeah, no, I seem to remember having this conversation with somebody on Facebook.
Yeah, okay. Probably not even about the same. Because I don't do Facebook.
Yeah, no, probably not even about the same thing, but just that whole idea of how GDP.
Okay, it definitely wasn't me.
And how you how you measure.
Yeah.
The damage done by something versus how much of a country's GDP would have been affected.
Exactly.
I've
so
had
there
that
you go.
Conversation with somebody.
So GDP is nowhere near that high, and it was the human costs. That was the difference, the underlying difference between this and the one that hit Japan. The countries hardest hit were Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, Somalia, Maldives, and Malaysia. Well, weren't there 100 people killed on the eastern coast of Africa?
I didn't know that.
As far as I know, it was 100 people.
Okay.
And
I just remember Thailand being less, absolutely.
But all those islands that I said, so there was Myanmar, Tanzania, Bangladesh, and Kenya.
Wow.
All were the hardest hit. All of the countries I've just mentioned don't have the GDP anywhere near that of Japan. Even combined. Human cost outweighs financial cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wave heights of over 30 metres were observed on the west coast of Sumatra. 30 metre fucking wave. I mean, even if, as you were saying, it's not a big crest of a wave, that iconic image of a wave breaking, everybody's got in their heads.
Yeah.
But it's 30 metre wall of water.
Yeah.
If it's a gradual rise from you're standing in 4 foot of water to 30 metres of water, it's still a fucking 30 metre wall of water.
It's a fucking cliff.
Yeah.
No, it's a cliff face. You think you're fucking standing at the bottom of a cliff looking up. That's what you're looking at. Fuck me.
The Aceh and Sumatra Utara provinces. Sumatra Utara. Yeah, I want to say Sumatra Utara because Utara is a very fucking white person thing to say, isn't it?
I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about.
In Aceh and Sumatra Utara provinces, Indonesia, at least 108,100 people died.
Yeah, it's fucking insane, man.
127,700 were missing and presumed dead, and 426,800 people were displaced.
500,000 people displaced.
Just insane. Like that, man.
Yeah. And again, I mean, we were talking about it, in part one about, all the kind of seismology and studying these things and everything else. There's no fucking way you can stop that shit.
But studying them prepares you to put in place measures that negate this kind of disaster. Yeah. Which is what happened subsequently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, fucking the earlier you know this shit's going to happen, the more you fucking can do to survive it.
It's not even the earlier you know this shit's going to happen, but this shit has happened. Put the measures that we put in place to help with this shit.
Yeah.
Get them going.
Yeah.
You know, so there's...
I know, but I don't think there's a fucking seawall that can be built big enough to fucking withstand something like that. You know what I mean?
You know, you're trying to contain nature. Yeah, so I agree with you on that point.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah. The 2004 tsunamis, widespread destruction, changed most disaster relief scientists / researchers' scopes. That's the point we were just making. Yeah. It changed the scope
of what
they were doing because of
how they were doing it.
Massive widespread damage that was created. So they would have thought pre-2004 tsunami, it's only this kind of localized damage, and then it's so much more widespread. And they were like, fuck me, no it's not. And just everybody was like, could it happen here afterwards?
Yeah.
Further afield, everybody was going, Jesus Christ, could that happen here?
Yeah, and then you kind of look at Ireland, I mean, we're that little dot on the, on the western edge of Europe, like, Jesus.
Yeah, you know what?
We'd be wiped off the fucking map.
Yeah. I'm okay with that, though.
At times, I fucking, yeah.
Go quick.
As long as I'm on holiday when it happens. Stop.
The plates ruptured a 900-mile long. We've talked about the San Andreas fault and the fault line that created the 2011 tsunami. And it was a 650-mile, talking about the San Andreas fault, a 650-mile rupture and a 160-mile rupture or something like that. This was 900 miles.
Yeah.
This is like 1,000 miles. How long is it from the top of Ireland to the bottom of Ireland?
337 something.
Okay, do that 3 times. Drive down to Cork from Donegal and drive back again and drive down again.
Yeah, that's
and you were in the ballpark of this tectonic rupture.
Jeez.
Fuck me. It's huge. It ruptured a 900-mile long India, Burma and Australian plates, 31 miles below the seafloor. So again, we get back into our conversation about, I don't get how it's below the seafloor, but it wasn't below the depth of water. It was below the seafloor.
Yeah, no, I get that part of it, yeah.
So that is mental. That is nuts. I haven't got any facts. I didn't write them down, but there's so much more research now has been done into tectonics because of 2004.
Okay.
So there were sensors, like the Pacific Ocean, as we were saying in the first episode, has the Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
Has all those sensors. Those sensors now exist in the Indian Ocean and any other ocean that's going to potentially wreck up the place because they've got this tectonic activity. It can happen anywhere, and now that's understood, and there are measures in place, not to stop it, but to deal with the catastrophe if it happens.
Okay.
And if you hear
some dickhead cutting grass outside the window.
I'm not going to call him a dickhead. He's doing his job, unless he's taking his day off from work and being a dickhead. Cutting grass, it's about, what is it, 2-3 degrees outside?
It's about 3 degrees outside. The grass is white.
And this fucker is cutting his grass and wrecking our podcast.
On a ride
and I'm deliberately not stopping it because I feel in a belligerent mood today.
Yeah,
Fuck him, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, it's not really pleasant listening for...
If this building goes on fire, I'm going to keep going.
Okay, fair enough, Del.
So...
I mean, Del is the stickler for sound quality and...
Yeah, and there's your man wrecking it up.
Radio. Yeah, no, our apologies if it is hard to listen to at the moment, but...
it's no harder to listen to than we are, so it's all right.
Exactly.
Okay, so I was talking about Crete a few minutes ago.
Yeah. I'm dying to hear this. Dal has been teasing me with this all week. I'm dying to hear this.
A possible geological explanation for the tectonic activity on Crete stems from the Minotaur legend.
Right.
You know, what do you know of the Minotaur?
I know he was...
and it's not Minotaur. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Minotaur.
It's the Minotaur.
Minotaur, yeah.
And I only learned that recently.
No way.
I always said Minotaur, but
it's... Yeah, no, Minotaur, yeah.
It's from the Minoan Empire and King Minos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a man with a bull's head.
Okay.
And he lived at the centre of the labyrinth on Crete.
And what's the labyrinth's name?
Kenosis? Gnosis?
It's Gnosis. You said Gnosis to me,
yeah.
And I said, no, I've always known it as Kenosis.
Yeah, no, it's Gnosis.
But it's Gnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the
you're right,
labyrinth
I'm
Gnosis.
wrong.
Grand, there you go.
So
Mark 1 for Paul.
The only one for Paul.
Only one. Dallas got 500 this time.
No, that's not true. Anyway,
but,
when
I remember it was in our English reader in school and like first class.
You never learned this. And when I was saying it's horrific and it's hilarious.
Who was the guy that went in and
strung
the string behind him just so he could find his way back out?
Daedalus.
Daedalus. Yes.
And you know Daedalus of the Icarus legend. Daedalus was Icarus's dad.
Okay.
I have a theory. It's not a theory. I read it. I just couldn't find it again. And I remembered what I can about it. Of why they built the wings out of wax and feathers.
Right.
And Icarus flies through too close to the sun and
it
he
melts,
falls to his death. Blah, blah, blah. Why that happened.
Right, well, I have something I just want to throw in there before we move on, actually. I was watching For All Mankind this week. I love that show. It's brilliant. But there's a great analogy in that, the fucking Helios are like the fucking private sector space program, And the fucking leader of fucking Helios stands up and he goes, the moral of the Icarus story isn't don't fly closer to the sun, it's build better fucking wings.
Okay, that has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
No, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
I love that idea.
Okay.
Anyway, move on.
When Minos, a great king of ancient Crete, and I think he was the first emperor of the Minoan Empire.
Okay, well, it would make sense.
Yeah, but I think it started with him,
right.
And their capital was Knossos. That's why it's the labyrinth of Knossos.
Oh, Knossos, yeah.
And I quite possibly will say Knossos again, but it's a lifetime habit.
Yeah, no, of course, it's hard one to break. It's a hard one to break.
He built this empire, and Minos, and I don't know his brothers' names, but in legend, he's the son of Zeus and Europa. And she was...
All emperors always sons of Zeus.
He was a philandering bastard.
No, I think it was like the pharaohs in Egypt, wasn't it? They kind of deified their leaders.
They all did,
and
Zeus, pure bloodline, and that's why they all fucking died off. But legend has he was the son of Zeus, but we know it's just somebody preserving their bloodline and their right to be ruler.
Yes,
all this kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, Zeus and Europa were Minos' parents. And when Minos took power, he was I'm taking charge. No, I'm taking charge. Now I'm taking charge with his brothers. And eventually
there was a vacuum of power.
Minos won out. Okay? He became king and he petitioned Poseidon from our Medusa fucking episode, the god of the sea. So he petitioned Poseidon to give him a bull worthy of sacrifice in honor of Poseidon. Okay. So they said, Poseidon, give us that bull and we'll kill it in your honor. And there'll be a feast and a celebration, and gods being narcissistic, capricious fuckers. Yep, I will. And he gave him this, I think it was a white bull, but it was glorious and it was beautiful. Minos said, I'm not sacrificing that. And he decided to keep it, and he sacrificed a thrift store version of that bull.
Okay.
Right. So Poseidon took...
a Wish version.
Yeah. So Poseidon took a Wish.com version of the bull. Yeah. So Poseidon took a fence.
Right.
And he got Eros, who's the guy that shoots the arrows into the boys and girls of the world to make them fall in love with each other.
And I just want to make a point here, actually. Dell is doing this ad-lib with no notes in front of him, and I'm fucking really impressed.
I read this.
I'm really impressed here.
I have a good memory, and it's a fucking course as well as a benefit.
This is awesome.
So,
anyway, go on, sorry to interrupt you.
Poseidon pissed off with Minos because he didn't sacrifice the bull that Minos had asked him for.
Yeah.
And had given him a Wish.com version instead. Said to Eros, fucking see him there. He said, yeah. He said, that's his wife. And his wife was called Pasiphae. Okay?
That name rings a bell.
And if it rings a bell for this reason, I'm leaving.
Okay.
That's Pasiphae. He said, fucking shoot one of your arrows at her. So he shot one of his arrows, and she fell in love with the bull that... You know where this is going.
I do.
She fell in love with the bull that Minos hadn't sacrificed in honor of Poseidon. This is so disturbing. So she fell in love with the bull.
Right.
And she commanded Daedalus, who was an architect, builder and inventor to Minos's court, to build her
labyrinth.
A wooden... No, don't get ahead of yourself.
Okay.
To build her a wooden bull that she could climb inside. And the wooden bull moved. The wooden bull moved. So she could move it through mechanisms and pulleys and all when she was inside it.
So what, so the bull had fallen in love with her?
And she went to a field that this bull that had been wrecking up the place, that hadn't been sacrificed to Poseidon. She went to a field that he frequented because the grass was the freshest there. And her and the bull got on. Or the bull got it on with the wooden bull. With the wooden bull that Poseidon built with her inside it. So this is the first record of bestiality I've ever heard. It's fucking total story. So
where the fuck do you find this stuff?
Time passed on. Don't blame me, blame the gods.
I know. Yeah.
Time passed, Greeks. And she gave birth to a baby with the head of a bull and the body of a human. Yeah, I know, it's dark and it's disturbing.
So she's inside this fucking
I don't want to go any more into it.
She's literally inside this. Oh my fucking God. Right, go on.
No, you got that all. I don't know how you have sex, man.
What?
She gave birth to a bull. Minos lost the plot, got Daedalus, and he was furious with Daedalus, and got him to build a labyrinth beneath his palace, which is the Labyrinth of Gnosis, which no historical evidence has ever been found.
Hang on, I'm going to just pull you back just a second. You say she got your man to make her a wooden bull?
Yes.
And the other bull shagged the wooden bull?
While she was inside it.
Was it not a cow?
You're an asshole.
I'm just saying, like, seriously.
Well, maybe it was a gay bull. I don't know. Daedalus carved this labyrinth out of marble.
Yeah.
And
this is the part of the story I know.
Minos couldn't kill the baby bull hybrid because it was Pasiphae's child. He couldn't bring himself to do it.
Okay.
When when the Minotaur grew up, he had it imprisoned inside the labyrinth.
Yeah.
And I think the thread thing you're talking about is when he...
I don't think it was Daedalus, was it? It was someone else was sent into the labyrinth and he used that to find his way back out.
Was that not Theseus? Because Theseus killed it. Theseus killed the bull.
That sounds right.
Legend says Theseus killed the bull. Going back to the Daedalus Icarus thing, Minos imprisoned Daedalus in a tower in that labyrinth, like at the top of it. So it would have been a tower that, obviously because they flew off with birds' wings and shit, was at the top of his palace.
Yeah.
That extended from the labyrinth beneath.
Okay, so the palace is in the labyrinth.
It wasn't in the labyrinth, but it was above the labyrinth, and this tower protruded through the palace. Okay. I guess, because they flew away. So where the fuck are they going to fly to if that's not going to be? And what sun are they flying too close to? Daedalus was placed there, I think, I read because he caused Minos great offence, but I think it was because he built the cow for Pasiphae. That she climbed inside.
That was the great offence that he caused. Yeah.
So that's what I figured it was. It wasn't said, but that's what I think it was. Theseus comes along, like they had a war, and as a consequence of the war and the suing for peace that would have went on, the negotiations, there was 8 people to be sacrificed to the Minotaur in the Labyrinth of Gnosis every year because of the Minotaur's bloodlust. And incidentally, Minotaur means Minos' bull.
Minos' bull, right? Yeah, okay.
And I don't know why he got the name because he didn't do the deed.
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess because it's Minos to put him in the labyrinth, so it's
imprison him, possibly.
Yeah, imprison. It's almost like the kind of.
But I'm saying this because that's all legend, but that's how they explained the tectonic activity in Greece, was when the bull roared, the ground shook.
The bull was getting angry,
and there's documentation of them saying the ground shook, the bull roared. What it is Crete sits on a tectonic boundary. It's on a block known as the Aegean block, which is part of the Eurasian plate. And subducting beneath that is the Nubian block, which is on the African plate. Okay? So as the Nubian block subducts beneath the Aegean block, it causes uplift And there's historical evidence of there being uplift sometimes of 30 feet. Right. And to explain it away and have no idea about tectonics or seismic activity or any crack like that, they explained it away with the myth of the Minotaur. Cool. That's just the Minotaur roaring.
Yeah.
The Minotaur
and stomping his feet or whatever, yeah.
Or whatever.
I love it.
In the Labyrinth of Gnosis. He's down in the Labyrinth of Gnosis.
Class.
The subducting of the Nubian block beneath the Aegean block is at a shallower angle than it is elsewhere.
Okay.
Sometimes it causes major uplift, and sometimes being back through history.
Of course.
Causes major uplift. As I said, sometimes 30 feet, 10 metres, which is fucking huge. How tall is that building over there? Oh, it's only 20 feet. Whoops. No, it's not. It's 50.
Yeah.
You know? So it's massive.
So more a case of whoops, no, it's not. It's a pile of rubble.
But here's the thing. In 2014, Crete had 1,300 earthquakes of a magnitude 2 or more.
Wow.
Right? By contrast, and I'm not saying it was any less serious, but by contrast, California had 255 earthquakes of magnitude 2 or more.
Yeah. It's interesting that, you kind of say that, and what we were saying earlier, that the kind of the longer between these earthquakes, the worse they get. That kind of shows that as well. If they're only kind of 2 on the Richter scale, which is kind of significant enough as well, like obviously, but because they're happening so frequently, that's why they're so low. It's when it's when they're not happening. Now, that's when you start worrying. Yeah.
If you compare the legend of the Minotaur and Crete to Pele, who was the Hawaiian goddess. She's in Hawaii. She's the goddess of destruction and rebirth.
Okay.
Her legend is she destroys, she kills, but she's also rebirth, and she's also growth, and she's also not nurture but nature. And she's equally linked to death and destruction the way the Minotaur is.
Yeah.
But she's linked with rebirth, nature, growth, nurture, that kind of crack. And the reason for that could be that when you've got lava flows on the Hawaiian Islands, after they cool, they're very fertile.
Yeah.
There's a lot of basalt, there's a lot of silica and all that kind of thing.
Which we covered in our volcano episode. You want to go back and listen to that?
So, and that's awesome. Go back and listen to that and we'll be right here. But it's very fertile. So there's a lot of growth. But on Crete, there's just destruction. Yeah. And I didn't get what the main source of rock is, but there's limestone.
Right, which nothing's growing in.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the Burren.
So all you get is destruction.
Yeah, you don't get the rebirth.
So the Cretans with Minotaur, not so lucky. The Hawaiians, a little more lucky, but still not lucky because there's lots of volcanic activity.
Okay.
So that's it.
I get you.
That explains away the whole Minotaur thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it's really dark and disturbing the way they fucking came around with it. And if you go back and listen to
I think I've just
Very Superstitious 2,
yeah,
where I was saying they're all fucking psychopaths and sociopaths.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think I've come up with a really good idea for an episode.
What?
Top 10 most fucked up Greek myths.
Yeah, you know what? I'd agree with you, but then all the fucked up Greek myths are all done in one episode, and I love going back and new shit and going, Jesus
keep some
Christ,
of these in reserve.
These guys are fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So I don't know about the episode, but let's keep introducing because they've their finger in every fucking everything we do. They elbow their way in and say, "Don't forget about me."
I mean, you're saying there, let's keep introducing them. Like, I just want to be very, very clear to our listeners here. We don't intend to fucking put the Greeks in any episode.
Well,
and yet
Cretans,
they just
not the Greeks.
Cretans.
Yeah, I know, but they're not.
I mean,
saying,
Greek myths.
The
Greek gods. When I say the Greeks, I mean the Greek gods.
Yeah.
You know, we don't intend to put those in any episode. They just keep fucking turning up
because they just elbow their way into everything. Yeah,
it's mad. It's fucking mad. I was only saying this to Darwin's classics teacher in school. Actually, I was at parent teacher meetings last week, and I said that exact thing to her. I said, we keep fucking talking about it on our podcast, like unexpectedly. They're just fucking everywhere.
They're in everything. Yeah,
it's awesome. I love it.
But before we wrap up I want to mention two things.
Okay.
The Cascadia fault line is north of the San Andreas fault.
Yeah.
And if you remember in the first part, I was saying there's all these plates, tectonic plates around the world, and I named them.
And they're all constantly
the Juan de
moving.
Fuca, and everything is moving all the time.
Yeah.
And the Juan de Fuca plate, which is an oceanic plate, is subducting at the Cascadia fault line, is subducting beneath the North American plate.
Yeah.
The effect that's having is it's bowing up the North American plate. So if you have a fool's cap or a copybook in front of you, open the first page and have it flat on the table, and then push your fingers to the edge of it where the cover of the book starts to bow up.
Yeah.
That's what's happening at the plate.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, that's going to flatten out and pop back.
Yeah.
And they're expecting an earthquake on the magnitude of 9 point something or more.
9.3 Mahoney's.
9 point Mahoney's or more. Yeah. It's gonna, they're expecting a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
And the Native American tribes don't have a written history. Like
it's all
verbal. But they talk about a disaster that happened where the water just rose up and came in.
Okay.
And I think it's from this, I think it was found in the 16 or 1700s, and I don't know when it was exactly that it happened, but they talk about it. This one event that happened and the ground shook.
Yeah.
And
I want to do an episode on kind of Native American stuff as well.
Which you said before, and I said I'm not very comfortable doing it until we have a Native American here to do it with us.
Maybe that's a thing.
I would love to have a Native American. I'd love to do an episode on Native Americans, but
you'd want to do it justice. I understand what you're saying.
I definitely couldn't.
No, I do.
And I wouldn't feel comfortable about doing it unless we had a Native American here with us to talk to us. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be awesome. I can probably arrange that too, actually.
But anyway, the other point I want to make is, on February the 6th of this year, northwest Syria and southern Turkey were struck by a 7.8 earthquake.
Wow.
Yeah, we were saying this. We were saying this after we recorded the first part that we didn't even mention it.
We didn't even mention what was literally only happening.
The place was fucking devastated.
Yeah.
Still, at this point, what are we? February, so we're 10 months on.
Yeah.
10 months on. There's millions struggling with the after effects of that earthquake.
That happened in February.
Yeah, February 6th.
I'm pretty sure it was way more recent than that.
Well, there might have been tremors, but the only one that I could find was February.
Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just...
Well, 2004, 2011.
Yeah, I'll mean the same thing to me. Yeah.
47,000 died, and it might go up to 55,000 possibly. Again, records of the area. How comprehensive are they?
Yeah.
And up to 130,000 were injured. And the absolute shack of a place that they lived in, because the buildings are not fit for human.
Well, I mean, that's in some cases, but I mean, Turkey's a very well-developed country as well, Dal. It's not...
No, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying the area that I looked at and the people that were displaced, it just doesn't look like it's got great amenities.
Yeah,
okay?
No, it's...
And it's freezing. And they're all destitute.
Yeah, it's a humanitarian crisis.
Yeah.
It is. And it's being kind of displaced by the latest humanitarian crisis that pops along,
Yeah.
It kind of gets forgotten about, after 2 weeks or whatever.
Isn't that the way it works?
It is.
News cycles.
It's, it is
What's
definitely something to kind of bear in mind that is still very much an ongoing crisis.
Yeah. What's good this week? So, fucking Minotaur.
Yeah, that's the fucking fascinating, that one.
And just going back to that before we wrap up, early texts of the Minotaur never described what he looked like.
Okay.
Which I didn't know.
So we don't know whether he was a man with a bull's head or a bull with a man's head. Or...
He was. Legend says that he was, but that was created later.
Okay.
And that was created to explain away the tectonic activity, the seismic activity. And some child somewhere in history said, yeah, but where did that come from? And someone had to dream up that psychotic idea. fucking hell. Of bestiality.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
That's us.
That's us. See you next time.
I hope you're having a great new year.
Yeah. And so welcome to 2024.
And I'm sure that's been said to you a million times. Yeah. But we'll see you in a while.
Yeah, and we've got some great stuff planned for this year, and we look forward to it.
No, he's lying. Awesome. We haven't a clue what we're going to do.
We don't know next week
what we're doing. We just fly by the seat of our pants. See you later.
See you later, lads. Good luck. Bye.